Hi, I've been wondering for a bit as to what should I be talking about here after my last set of videos, and there's so much that I want to share, but there's always like, what do I tap onto this time? That decision making kind of gets me a little delayed on shooting any content. But however, I've made up my mind for today and I have decided to talk to you about certain tips and tricks around IELTS. Now, in my life, for your context, I have given IELTS about 4 times. This is the academic module, and I have also given the general module. Um, and this has always been mainly for my study abroad purposes, immigration purposes, and I must tell you that all of the times I gave a paper based exam because that's how it was when I started out the first time, and then eventually I just got comfortable with the paper based format. And yeah, so I thought that with all the experience that I have with giving IELTS so many times now in my life, I should come here and talk about some tips and tricks for all of those who are on their journey of preparing for IELTS or are thinking about IELTS and want to know how to kind of prep for it and get an idea. So I'm not going to like get into the deets of what each section looks like and things like that. I might touch upon it, but primarily the purpose of this video is to just give you tips so that you can prepare better for your exam. All right, so I've made some notes here on my iPad, and I am just going to look at whatever I've written because there were so many things that I wanted to kind of put together. I just put it all in like a entire doc, and I've divided it into sections which I can refer to and read just so that I don't miss out on anything, because I know that I can easily miss out on material. So yeah, let's get into the first section. So, the first section we'll talk about is speaking. Now, speaking is something which generally, when you book an IELTS exam, it happens in the beginning, like it's a couple of days before your actual written test, and it's got a whole arrangement where you go to a center, you meet the examiner who's there, and they like do have a 15-minute session of testing your speaking skills. And there are a couple things that I think you could keep in mind when it comes to practicing your speaking. Number one is watch a lot of English movies and shows. I think a lot of us make the prep very complicated. We try to make things a little too big. I think if you try to simplify and look for ways in your daily life to incorporate watching English shows, TVs in different accents, also, yes. So, shows with British accent, American accent, shows where our characters have an accent, but they are speaking in English, like a European language. For example, somebody who's a French or an Italian and is speaking in English. So, watching shows and movies in that regard is great. Watching English songs are great. Listening to podcasts, that's really helpful. So, in my experience, what I have seen is that we all nowadays don't really sit and listen to podcasts. We generally have it on and we keep going with our lives. So when you listen to all these podcasts where people have different accents, it's really helpful to kind of go through what they are going and saying and understanding as to what it potentially means. And I think another very useful thing to do is when you are watching, say, an interview or something like a podcast, and it's like a 15-minute or 10-20 minute or half an hour, what you can do is you can download the transcript of that video. On YouTube you get transcripts. What you can do is that you can go back and play that video again, and take this transcript that you have and play the video on mute and read out this transcript loudly while lip syncing. So what happens is you kind of also learn how to catch the pronunciations. You also understand when you're speaking that how the word is supposed to be said and how it is said by different accents. So it's just a fun activity that I'm suggesting, because it can get very boring at times, and it's actually a great way of mimicking the rhythm and the intonations. And yeah, so that is something you could do. And yeah, another thing which would directly relate to your speaking test is uh, pick a topic and practice speaking in front of the mirror, which is the generic advice everybody gives. I would suggest that you can practice speaking 1 or 2 minutes like an elocution competition, and you pick up a topic and you talk about it. And what you can do is you can actually record yourself, like as if you're recording a YouTube video and informing people about the topic, and that again becomes fun. So it's all about making the process fun and not sticking to traditional stuff, because just speaking is not important, but listening and understanding how words need to be pronounced, where you need to emphasize, where the words are silent, these things are very important if you are just learning to speak in English and you're going to give the exam. um, and then again, what to avoid: I think you should not rely on just reading books, because it doesn't really help with um, practicing your fluency, unless of course you are reading some poetry that you can read out loud, or you can pick children's books. Actually, that's a great option. They are short, easy to read and get through. Read those aloud. So it just kind of gets you into the practice of speaking in English. But if you don't have folks around in your house who are talking in English, then this is the most useful thing you can do. And yeah, I think the idea is to kind of mix up different ways and not fatigue yourself, because it can get very, very tiring to constantly get into the rut of preparing. And it's very important, that's why, to do different things: watch TV shows, listen to songs, listen to podcasts, interviews. So mix up stuff. And yeah, I think that should be it when it comes to your speaking skills. All right, now let's come to the writing section. Now for the writing section, uh, the best way to go with it is obviously to uh, go through a lot of writing material and keep practicing your writing. But one very important thing, if you're given the written exam, it's to have a neat handwriting, something that is legible for the person who's looking at your paper to read and understand what you've written. So for that case, what I would really recommend is that you time yourself. You practice writing, but you give yourself a timer. See, put say 5 minute timer, and see how much time you're taking to finish in 5 minutes. How many words have you completed in 5 minutes? Then it just kind of will help you for the real world scenario. Then it's very also important that you learn to be on topic. Now, one thing that is easily ignored when we talk about writing is that people don't really have the skill of staying coherent. So what happens is, like, you can write an entire 500 word essay, but it's not necessary that one sentence that's written makes sense in context to the following sentence. So basically, your thing, whatever you're writing, should have a good flow. And in order to have that good flow, you need to practice writing. You need to pick a topic again, and you need to practice writing in a way that all your sentences naturally lead to the next or the following sentence. So it's progressive, it doesn't feel like it's cut off and it's random. Then of course, like I said, if you are practicing writing, it's basic to follow a structure of introduction, body, and conclusion. Now, when you have this three-part structure in mind, it becomes very very easy to um, practice your writing. You know where to start, you know how to end it. And I would just like to mention that when it comes for your IELTS exams, you have two writing sections. First one is shorter, which is more interpretive, and you have like a graph and some details given, or a bar chart or something, and you have to draw insights from it and write, and it's generally under 250 words that you have to write. Then the next one is like a slightly longer one, where it's more opinion based. So you have lesser time for the first task, and that's why you need to be like very very quick to think about your thoughts, what you're going to put into your writing. And now coming to what and how can you practice, two very easy ways that you can practice your writing test if you're doing the written one, is to pick up a cursive handwriting book. And those books have great lines drawn in them. It's available for, I think, the primary sections in India at least. So pick up those books and practice writing within those lines. You can pick up books which have like fill in the blanks going on. They have a topic. You can do that. You can, write as much as you want. It will just help you kind of understand how to make your handwriting legible and how to stick to a topic. And yeah, I think pretty much what I said again, that you need to pick a topic, write 400 500 words about it, and try to stick to it. And the more you do it, I would highly suggest though that you write about topics that are more real world related. Like you could talk about oil prices right now, you could talk about climate crisis, things like that. Pick topics which are more generic and which you can think about easily, more interpretive, like you would have to go and read up on the internet to know a little bit about it. So this way you can practice, get a hands of practicing for both the sections. And yeah, I think that would be it when it comes to your writing section practice. All right, now let's talk about the reading section. Now, the reading section is something that I personally used to fret, to be honest, because it used to be very difficult for me. And I've seen that over the years, the reading module of the reading section rather of the academic IELTS is gotten very difficult. Like there are about, I think, 3 to 4 passages that you have to read, and you just have an hour to get through it. And the passages get difficult as you move and progress further. So time is something that is really really difficult to manage. At least for me, it has been when it comes to the reading section. So um, you need to kind of keep that in mind. And what the section actually tests is whether you can read, understand, comprehend, and extract the information that's important, that's relevant. It's going to understand that skill, whether you have that or not. So what you can genuinely do to practice it is read. There is no shortcut to the reading section practice. You need to read lots. And what you can primarily do is read passages or read those short essays that are there, like the shorter paragraphs and stuff. And you could read like something from a textbook, an article, a short story. And when you read it, you need to note down what it was about. You should note down what were the characters. You should note down what was it trying to tell, and also if there were any main themes and insights that you could draw from it. So look at all of those things, and then practice your reading. It's a very simple way, but it'll just kind of get you into the habit of reading in a way that you can scan through stuff and look at what's important, because that ability of skimming and scanning is very, very crucial to your reading section abilities. And also, yeah, another thing that I have written here is NCRT books. So the primary section NCRT books, if you look at them, at least from the time that I was in school, they have some really cool stories and stuff. If you pick them up, you will see at the back there is like an exercise section. So in the exercise section, they generally have questions related to the story or whatever, and they are fill in the blanks and things like that. So pick those books and practice reading from there. And what it will do is it will actually get you into the habit of um, reading a question and scanning for the answer at the right place. So that is what will help you, and it will also get you used to the kind of questions you can be asked in the reading section. So yeah, it's basically about knowing that you don't need to get your answers from memory, but it's more about knowing where to look for the answers. That's what you need to majorly focus on developing as you prepare for the reading section. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And of course, yeah, don't spend too long on the reading section, like one passage, because you have other passages, and when you move it just gets difficult. So if you're stuck with a question or something, leave it for that moment and come back to it later. Don't like let it stop you from moving forward. You can always come back to the parts that you have not surely answered, and change it from there. All right, I think that's pretty much it when it comes to the reading section. Now let's move to the last section, and then I have some really cool golden tip advice that is going to be like amazing for you to know. So, yeah, let's talk about listening. Okay, so when we talk about the listening section, it's important to know that this section is entirely about your focus. You miss your focus and you literally miss a bunch of questions and answers to those questions actually. So it's very, very important in your listening section, when you are given the question paper, first of all, to go through the question paper. And before the audio starts, you kind of flip through it, and you basically get a headphone, and you have 2 to 4 set of listening pieces, and then you have questions in front of you, and you listen to those pieces, and you write your answers or you mark your answers. And it's very important that when you're doing this activity, or rather this section, you uh, try to maintain your focus from the get go. So what happens is that you get sometimes 2 3 people's audio, and it's like a conversation that's playing, so it can get difficult to follow through. So it's very important that you practice listening with the means of listening to different accents, to those group interviews, like how in India we have those round tables and stuff that they do, where they bring multiple actors. So if you find interviews where there are people with different accents, look at people with American, British, people who are have the African or the Australian or the New Zealand accent, the Kiwi accent. So try to listen to that. By the way, Australian accent, according to me, is the most difficult to follow if you don't kind of know how the words are getting pronounced. I've gotten used to it now thanks to living in New Zealand. But if that is something that you want to practice, then I would highly recommend that you look at watching some of the Australian TV shows or Australian news channels. So, yeah, when it comes to practicing, one key thing that you could do is listen to podcasts again. But this time what you can do is, like interview based podcast, what I would suggest is that you pause it, and then you try to recall what the last line was. When you are able to get the last line, great. If you're not, then you know that you weren't really paying attention. So that's how you practice precision. And you can always like replay and go back and hear and check your answers. So what this is going to do is it's going to allow you to like really practice focused listening. And also it's important that you listen to everything in different speeds. So like in YouTube videos you can like change the speed of the videos. So I would highly recommend you do that. It'll just make you more used to listening to different speeds and accents, and make you more accustomed to understanding different kinds of English speaking accents. And yeah, and yeah, I think uh, like I said in the beginning, that you need to have a lot of focus. So I'm not going to tell you that, oh, please go and do some meditation, because I know meditation is not everybody's cup of tea. But to build focus, what can you do? And you can kind of go through your own methods and ways of doing that. But one thing that I could actually recommend is that try doing something that can let you be in a place for like that whole time. For example, if you're listening to a song, can you focus on listening to that song, just listening to that song? No mobile scrolling, no watching TV, no doing some dishes and things like that. So try to do it in those ways, try to build your focus in those ways. Because what happens is that I have noticed nobody talk about it, but if you don't have focus, and if you're somebody who overthinks, if you're somebody who can get stuck in like some kind of a random thought that comes to your mind, it can get very very risky for your listening section. So that's why it's very important that you don't lose your attention. And for that you need to really build on building your attention and focus. And yeah, I think it's all about consistency. When you do one thing at a time, you eventually understand that you know this is how I can build my focus. It's not necessary that you need to like meditate and do all of that, because it doesn't work for everybody. But yeah, I think you do you decide what's going to help you build that focus in yourself, and really pay attention to what's in front of you rather than what's going on inside your head or mind. Now coming to the gold section that I said, the golden tip that I'm going to give. I know I should have said initially the beginning of the video so people would have stuck through to the end, but I guess I'm not that much of a pro. But to all of you who have stayed till here, let me tell you some amazing advice for preparing for your IELTS, which is something that did not exist when I first gave my IELTS, and also I think it wasn't prominent when I was giving my IELTS the last time. So yeah, I think this is going to be a game changer. And drum rolls, please, because I'm going to talk about using AI. Now, don't fret, don't fret. When I say AI, I don't mean some complicated machine algorithm that you need to learn. It's just your platforms like ChatGPT by OpenAI, there's Gemini by Google, there's Claude by Anthropic, and there are many, many more. So the idea is that you make use of these platforms, because when I was um, studying and planning my IELTS, or preparing rather, I did not have any of this. And when you look at all the options you now have, it's like a gold mine for prep. So I'll go through some basic tips of how you can practice each section. I'll keep it short, so it will just give you ideas. There are millions of ways you can practice different sections, but I can just walk you through what you can do and what you can start with. So, for example, when it comes to your speaking section, ChatGPT has a very good speaking feature. where you can talk. The voice feature is great. So what you can do is you can actually have a conversation with the app, and you can practice your speaking skills there. You can dictate it to the LLM, that is the chat GPT platform, that hey, I need to talk to you about a topic. Can you converse with me for the next 2 minutes and make it a friendly conversation? You can ask it to change accents. So, do it along those lines, and it can turn out a great helping partner for your speaking skills practice. For reading, what you can do is you can go to any of these platforms and you can ask for an IELTS style reading passage and questions, and you can actually write your answers on a piece of paper, take pictures, feed it onto the platform that you're using. For example, you're using Gemini, you take pictures, you upload it there in the same chat thread, and you're like, now check if the answers are correct. So this will just be a great way for you to kind of go through your reading skills and abilities. For writing, what I would suggest is you could use these LLMs to, of course, give you a topic, and you look at it, you write, you time yourself, and then you can again upload pictures of this writing part if you have handwritten it, and you can ask for critical feedback, that how is my writing, what's missing, and use that feedback to improve your writing abilities. For listening, I would recommend you could use a platform like Notebook LM. Now, for Notebook LM, if you have not used it, it's a really, really great study tool. I use it often to read a lot of research papers, but I would recommend that if you probably have like a passage or something, you give it to Notebook LM, ask it to create an audio overview. So an audio overview is more like a podcast feature that they have, where two of these folks are talking about the one material that you've submitted. You can try listening to it and try to understand if you're able to follow through what they are talking about. And what it does, it kinds of gives you an idea of how to comprehend information, how to synthesize. It helps you also to keep yourself engaged, like pick up something that you would genuinely like to read, pick up something that you would genuinely want to know about. So it'll keep you interested in listening to that audio overview. And yeah, that should be very, very good to help you practicing your listening abilities. And finally, I would like to say one thing, that I see a lot of ads on the internet about paying certain fees to learn IELTS and things like that. But I personally feel, with the coming of AI and so many platforms, I don't really think that we as people should really be signing up for these paid classes for IELTS, because I think the tools online are just great. Like, I have just told you some ways in which you can use these platforms, but there are umpteen ways in which you can use these platforms and make use of them in practicing your IELTS. And there's no end to it. It's free. That's the best part. So I personally don't think that you should be, spending like a fortune, like this 15,000 rupees or so many $100 over a crash course in IELTS, and that claims that it'll give you like an 8 band or a 7 band and things like that. I really think you should focus on taking your time, depending on how confident you feel, and making use of these platforms, making use of the tips I gave you to really practice your abilities for each of the 4 sections. And I think you'll really be good to go. But having said that, I know a lot of us feel better when we are onto something new, to take help from people who have already walked that path. And I also personally think that nothing in the world can replace the human touch. So if you think that a tutor or a course where you're physically sitting in a classroom and a teacher is teaching you is working for you, or an online course with somebody who is an IELTS expert is working for you, then go ahead, do that, because ultimately it's about what makes you feel confident and what makes you feel prepared. So yeah, if you think that you want to take a coach or a class with somebody, then go for it. Like, do what suits you. All right, that brings me to the end of this video. I hope you found this video helpful. I hope some of the tips are going to be like an eye opener for you, like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. Because I really literally sat down and worked really hard actually to, scratch my memory to find what were the different things that I followed through to prep during my IELTS days. So please do let me know how you found this video. Do leave a like, a comment, and of course, subscribe if you're new to this channel. I intend to share a lot more things. Maybe it's not pertaining to just the world of IELTS, but yeah, just things that might help you somewhere along the way in your life. And yeah, also let me know that if you want to learn more about IELTS and the format and things like that, would you like me to make a video in Hindi, if that's what you prefer, and what would you like me to cover? I would love, love, love suggestions, because that's something that I always look forward to when I upload videos. So yeah, let me know, and I'll see you next soon. Bye.